As it is now, if we try to create a course again with the business essential training, for instance, as the title, we'll get a database error because it says integrity violation, duplicate entry for this, because the slug was defined to be a unique field, okay? And because we are deriving the slug from the title, if you have two courses with the same title, it will try to derive the same slug, okay? And that's going to throw this database error. A way to avoid that is to allow instructors to have the same titles for their courses. But if we have the title existing more than once, so if you have instructors creating more courses with the same title, we should be able to still generate the same slug, but just append a 1, 2, 3 at the end of the slug to make them unique. You can manually implement this, but again, there's an amazing package that does this for us in Laravel, and that's called the Eloquent Sluggable package. If you look at the example here, it will generate, for instance, a blog post that has this title and another blog post with the same title, except that it appends a 1 to the slug and this one appends a 2 to the slug. So we are guaranteed that the slugs will always be unique, even if the titles are not. So let's go here and we simply install this package. So let's go to our project. You can publish a configuration if you want. We are going to do that, but we will not be making any changes to the configuration. And to use this package is very easy. You just import the use sluggable trait in the model class that you want to bind this to. Once we import that, you see there's a warning here saying, well, we have not implemented a method called sluggable. And this is simply a function where we specify which field we want to use to generate our slug, okay? So let's go to the bottom of this file and we implement that sluggable method. So public function sluggable, and that returns an array and return slug. So the slug field is what we want to set a value for. And then we have to specify the source, and the source will be the title of the course, okay? And then we have the source, which is the title of the course. And that's basically it. In fact, by doing that, we can go to our store course action here, comment out the slug, and that package will take over the responsibility of generating the slug for us when we actually create the course. It will listen for the created event on the model, and it will derive the slug from the title and try to make them unique, okay? So if we go back to the example that we just did, we got an integrity violation, send that request again, the course now is created, but if you look at the slug that we got back, it's exactly the same slug as before, except it has 2 to it. In fact, if we create more, we get 3. And if you do that again, you get 4. So that is an easy way to generate slugs in a smart way, where you can allow instructors to create courses with non-unique titles, but with unique slugs. Now, while we are here, let's quickly go to the resource or the course resource and update the fields that we want to return. So the ID here, we just want to get the hash ID, which is what we expose to the users in the front end. We want to get the title. We want to get the subtitle. We want the description of the course, which during creation is null, but let's just put it here. We want the slug. So we want to get the status of the course. And that is to say whether the course is published or not. So we know that the course is not published by looking at the published at. If it is null, then the course is not published. We will just go to the course model and make it easier for us to pull that information out. So public function, let's write a scope, which we can use on queries. And that scope will take a builder object, which is an eloquent builder. And we just return builder where not null. published at. Then we can also just have another function. So public function is published to check if the published at field is not null. So this published at. So this is a helper function that checks for the published at field and returns true if that field is not null. That tells us that the course is published. So over in the course resource, we can just add some fields here for the status. And in this case, let's just say this is published. So if the course is published, then we want to say published. Otherwise, we just say draft. Okay. So it's either published or it's in draft mode. And let's also just put a Boolean here to say whether the course is published or not. So this is published. All right. So going back to the front end, let's try to get a list of all the author's courses. Click on that and we get a list with exactly the data that we are exposing from our course resource. We will be expanding on this later on to add more functionality, but for now, this is good enough and that's what we need to keep going.